It's okay. It doesn't even hurt that bad.
Don't die on me, meatball!
Just give me some duct tape. I can still fight.
He's gone delirious!
Really? I'll be okay.
What in the name of Sam Jackson is that? A deep blue commando shark?
Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the end of the world. And I am not here with Travis. I am here with another man. So we'll go ahead and get to the plug-in out the way early because apparently most people stop listening about 20, 25 minutes in. So no sense in plugging all the way at the end. So I'm here with my friend Dominic. Dominic, what do you do? And say your thing.
Hey, I'm also known on the interwebs as Precious D, and I am the co-host and producer of Monster Movie Fun Time Go. It's a kaiju podcast where
It is indeed.
my best friend and I, Honeybee, make our way through the history of kaiju movies. We're
Yeah.
up to 2015 now.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good time. You should check it out. It's on YouTube and elsewhere as well. So pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find it, and it's very, very fun and informative at times. Learn a lot. It's a good movie, good movie podcast. This movie that we're talking about tonight is kind of fits into, I guess, both of our worlds in that it's a post-apocalyptic movie, and well,
There's kind of some
there's
kaiju at the very end.
there's a little kaiju at the end. You get one if you consider the dog
Well,
also.
there's a gargantua shark,
There
and
is.
there's a giant dog. There's a
There is
Clifford.
there's a giant Clifford that shows up inexplicably for no fucking reason. We are talking about
Well, he did.
post-apoc.
They showed him licking up the growth thing off the floor.
That's the
Did
reason.
you miss that? Did you?
Oh, I gave up on life halfway through. Nothing made sense anymore. This is Post-Apocalyptic Commando Shark. That's a
Yes.
mouthful.
Yes, and fuck
And-
you.
Yeah, so the first note I have is, I'm sorry.
I watched this piece of shit twice now because you first mentioned it, I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago.
About a month ago.
And I
yeah.
realized yesterday, I don't remember very much about this. So I watched it again this morning. I just finished it about 20 minutes ago. So fuck you to hell.
Fresh on your mind, huh?
Yeah.
I watched it about a month ago when I was looking for movies to review. This was before we decided to do all of the Left Behind movies. That was Travis's idea.
The Left Behind. Oof. I don't think
We
I
did
watched any of
all
them.
we did all 5 of the Left Behind movies in March. All of them.
I mean,
all of them.
they're kind of based on the original post-apocalyptic premise.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, the last one, which was directed, written, and starring Kevin Sorbo, is mostly about the COVID scare and how only the liberals are going to make you do things. Yeah. Oh boy, that was a whole event. So we have
conservatives never try to force you
They
to
would
do
never.
things.
They would never.
They-
Hypocrisy be damned.
or try to force you not. I guess they try to force you not to do things
Yeah.
rather than forcing you
Just
to
eliminate
do things.
choices.
Yes. They will.
You still chose. We just only gave you one choice. What's the problem?
They won't try to actively make you do something. They will prevent you from doing things that you want to do.
Exactly.
So I guess a subtle difference there.
Yeah. Not a lot of background on this movie, so if we talk about other things, you'll know why. Because the plot of this movie is maybe the most interesting thing about. Actually, I'll take that back. The poster is the most interesting thing about this movie. The box art on the cover looks really impressive. You look at that, and you're like, oh, this is going to be kind of interesting. Like Soviet Union, United States, shark movie. Okay.
And I think it's the same art that you see at the end of the film.
It is.
So,
which I will note is the best part of the movie. The end is the best part.
They either hired a good graphic artist or found a good AI program. Well, this is a few years ago that it was made, so there might not have been an AI program.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's 2018. Yeah, speaking of 2018, we will ask Dominic some questions not related to music because I imagine that you weren't up to date with the charts of 2018. But I did write down who was in the charts.
Okay.
So we'll cover that. Travis is not here because unfortunately he had a passing in his family, so he's in Texas going through some
Mm.
stuff right now. So he'll be back for next week when we talk about Independence Day. So that'll be Travis is back for that one. Hold on for that. If you are thinking this is going to be on the same level as Independence Day, you'll sadly be mistaken. So, this movie is written, directed, and stars a good majority of the family members and of this family called, I'm probably going to mispronounce this. I'm not even sure how to pronounce it, honestly. We talked about it before we started. I tried to look it up, like watch an interview with the guy, something. I couldn't find any videos where he says his name or anyone else says his name. So, be like, how do you pronounce it? So, his name is Sam. And then we said his last name was what? Qualina?
Qualiana,
Quiliana. Yeah, yeah. It's
I think. Like Poly,
Qualiana. So lots of
I'm
A's
thinking
in there.
it's like Pollyanna, but with a Q.
Yeah, yeah.
Qualiana.
So his dad is in this movie. He is in this movie. His brother is in this movie. I believe a lot of his friends are in this movie because most of the cast doesn't really have any credits really to get into. There's only really one actress that we have time to talk about that's kind of worth talking about. The rest of them have mostly been in movies that he has done himself because
Yeah.
he is my age. He was born around the same time I was. So he's 38, 39 years old. And man, he makes me feel like an amateur because I was able to only do 3 movies in my life, and most of them are 20 minutes or under. He has
Hmm.
made 14 full-length motion pictures that he has directed. He's also acted in quite a number of things. Some
Yeah,
his most
he's
popular,
been in a
like
couple of real things.
yeah, yeah, his most like the biggest thing that I saw was he's been in some like Troma stuff, like Lloyd Kaufman,
Hmm.
Poultrygeist, stuff like that, Zombie Babies, Pork Chop 2. He was in something called Black Guy on a Rampage, which I'm not going to watch that. I don't know what the hell that's about. I don't care to know, honestly. But yeah, with the title like Black Guy on a Rampage, you kind of lose me there. Uh, in addition, he's also directed a bunch of stuff. Uh, Snow Shark, M is for Mongrel, Lake Effect, a bunch of random things like that. Oh, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, you're still there. Okay. Yeah. So the only actress. Oh, so another thing that's worth mentioning is they actually did an Indiegogo campaign to make Snow Shark. That's kind of where I found out a lot of his information from. He actually raised
Hmm.
$3,000 to make his first big movie, which was Snow Shark. Which
Okay.
I guess this is in the same vein of that, in that I think they use the exact same shark outfit here. And they just kind of put like a fake Russian coat on him and called him Post Apocalyptic Commando Shark. Problem solved. He's
Is Snow Shark a bipedal shark?
Hey, it might be. I did
You
not
haven't
watch
watched
that
it.
movie.
Okay.
No, God, no. This was the first one. I thought if this one was good, maybe I would dig into his filmography. Nope, that didn't happen.
Well, one of his things is a short film on YouTube. Well, actually, I think all of this stuff's on YouTube.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah,
going to watch the next thing that's listed. It's like a sci-fi thing, but it's a short film. So I thought I would watch that
yeah.
later.
They're like, I think that it's cool that he's very ambitious and he's doing a lot of this stuff, and he's definitely got a lot of free time on his hands. And good for him. Obviously, he's making some money at doing this, or at least has some money coming in from somewhere. People are funding him on Indiegogo,
Yeah. Yeah.
at least enough that he's getting something going there. So good for him on that respect. You getting your vision out there to something. Have fun with it. I'm not gonna probably watch any more of these movies, but maybe somebody else will. The only actress that in this movie that she's only in it for just a brief time period, which is she's been in a bunch of other Troma movies as well, over 260 movies, is Debbie Rocaine. She's like the drill sergeant lady at the kind of in the middle part of the movie that shows up and yells at that one guy and then he leaves and then we never see her ever again.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
remember her? Yeah, yeah, she's
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
It's an outdoor scene.
yeah, yeah, outdoor
And
scene,
she,
yeah, yeah.
oh
She
yeah,
was
she
in
actually has a headshot on her page
yes,
here.
yes, she was been in Vampire's Kiss with Nicolas Cage. I'm a vampire, I'm a vampire.
Yeah.
Um Romeo and Juliet, Shriek of the
Okay.
Lycanthrope, which is a fun one.
I have not
Uh
seen that.
Toxic Avenger 4. And then a movie that me and Travis actually talked about when we talked about the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes movie. There was a softcore porn parody called Playmate of the Apes that we talked about, and
Okay.
she's actually in that. So there's another one there.
I think I've
Another,
actually heard of that.
yeah, it was a softcore. It was a softcore porn that was on HBO that kind of crossed over into like a little bit of novelty for B movie fans,
Mhm.
probably because of the premise of a porn parody of Planet of the Apes. She's also in Bikini Bloodbath Car Wash, Teen Ape versus Monster Nazi Apocalypse, which is something that I might have to watch at some point. My Uncle John is a zombie. And one of the Toxic Avengers, I think Toxic Avenger 4, I think she was in that one as well. So
You mentioned that, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the background of this movie. I was not really able to find out anything about how they funded it, how much it cost, how much it made, where it was in any of that really the things that we usually talk about when we kind of get into the background of these movies. A lot of it is just about him and his family, and we'll drop some nuggets and hints as we talk about the plot. But this movie came out on November the 9th, 2018. And in the charts at that time do you have any guesses, Dominic, or were you a big music listener to what was going on the radio on 2018?
I was just probably listening to my own selection of
Yeah,
music, not listening to the radio,
fair.
the top
Neither was
40
I.
radio.
Yeah, neither was I, because I don't really know any of these songs. We got Maroon 5 with Cardi B with a song called Girl Like You. That was number one in the
Okay.
country. No idea what that song is. Travis Scott and Bastille, Juice World, and Post Malone round out the other positions there.
Oh, yeah, none of those are people that I regularly listen to. I've heard of all of them. Uh, I would only
Interesting.
see them that's the kinda thing, like, if they're the music guest on Saturday Night Live, then I
Yeah.
will have heard their latest thing, but that's about it. And, of course,
Nice.
Maroon 5, can't
Yeah,
avoid
Maroon
them.
5, I've heard of them. Travis Scott, obviously, I've heard of. I had not heard of Bastille or Juice World, and I've heard of Post Malone,
Post
unfortunately.
Malone, I've heard of. Juice
Yeah,
WRLD, I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
his
I'm
thing.
not a big Post Malone fan at all,
No.
honestly.
Isn't he a face tattoo guy?
He does. He did rap, and then he kind of started doing country, and he was in the Super Bowl performance, I think, or did something around the Super Bowl. I'm not sure. I've accidentally encountered a few of his songs, and he plays Magic the Gathering, so that's kind of where I've known him mostly
So
from.
he's
Is
a so he's a
kind of
nerd.
like a nerdy dude. Yeah, if you watch a lot of Magic the Gathering stuff online, like on YouTube, you'll inevitably stumble upon him because he kind of always comes up because he's one of like he's so wealthy that he's able to like buy a lot of very expensive cards and kind of like show them off in a way. So there's that kind of aspect of it. So rather than asking you about the music, I was going to ask you about the movies. Do you have any guesses as to what movies were popular or when this movie came out? So this is right before Christmas in 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
I c no no, I don't have a clear idea of what year that was.
Yeah,
You
COVID
know
kind
what?
of messed
It
with
was
the time off.
before right, it
COVID
was in the
messed with the
before
timeline.
times, shortly before the crisis. It was the before times,
Before
but I
times.
don't have a clear idea in my head of what the culture was in
Yeah.
2018. Okay, Marvel was going at that time, right?
Surprisingly, there are no Marvel movies in the top 5, which I
Okay,
was kind of surprised about.
but we are in the middle
Yes.
of
Oh
that
yeah.
Marvel period.
Yeah. We are definitely in the middle of it. Maybe it's kind of like the beginning of the downturn. I'm trying to remember when the last like big Avengers movie came out.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it came out in 2018 or if it came out in 2020.
yeah.
Like I
So,
said,
no, I don't know. I don't know what was in
well,
2018.
I will let you know here. So I have seen 3 of these movies actually. So number 5 was A Star Is Born. That was the number
Mm,
5 movie in the country. The
okay,
Lady Gaga
alright. Yeah,
starring
yeah.
in that one. Number 4 is the movie I have not watched, The Nutcracker. I'm not sure
I
which
did see that.
version that is. I have not seen that one. Number
It's a
3 was
if it's
oh good.
I think it's a non-ballet,
Oh
you
okay.
know, children's movie, young adult movie trying to do trying to do a Narnia, uh, Harry Pottery kind of
Thing.
take on the Nutcracker.
Yeah, I like it.
Trying to
I'll
make a
look it up.
franchise.
So the next three movies I have seen. Number three is Overlord. That's a cool little action kind of actiony horror movie that was kind of popular for a little while there. It's okay. We need more movies about killing Nazis. That's my take. We haven't.
Okay.
Our current,
did see
I
that
feel
one.
like I was going to say, I feel like our current status of the world is we need to double down on how to treat Nazis and
Well, you know,
make our status very make it very firm where we stand on this. You know.
well, coincidentally, Matt, today is International Punch a Nazi Day. However, I should mention though that every day is International Punch a Nazi Day.
It should be. It really should be. Yeah. Oh boy, yeah, that's becoming something that I didn't think I would have to see in my lifetime. Did not see the Third Reich rising again.
The Fourth
Whenever
Reich. That's
the
the
Fourth
Fourth Reich,
Reich, yeah,
dude.
yeah, it's true, the Fourth Reich, and it is not a very not a good sequel so far. I'm
Well,
not a
fortunately,
fan.
they're pretty incompetent so far, so
Well,
they have that going for
it's hard to send text message. We all fuck up when we send group text, don't we?
yeah. Yes.
Have you never accidentally sent the wrong and extremely confidential information to
Had
the wrong
had,
group chat? I
had the
have
wrong number with the wrong name? No,
done
I
it all the
haven't.
time.
I've
Cell phones
I've
are
had
hard.
this I have had, multiple people with the same name
Yeah.
that maybe I didn't differentiate, but not a number with just a completely wrong name. That's not
At one point in my life, I knew 8 different Zacks. I don't know why. I don't know how, but just I somehow inexplicably I knew a bunch of different Zacks. I had a Zack that had lived in the apartments next to me. I had a nephew named Zachary, so on, a coworker named, so on and so forth. I was able to differentiate all 8 of those Zacharys when it came to texting without ever fucking up because you just
Yeah.
give them a different name. Like
Yeah.
it's just not that difficult. Anyway, number 2 movie in the country when this movie came out on November 9th, 2018 was Bohemian Rhapsody, which is a movie I actually recently rewatched again. I'm not sure why. It just popped up one day on our little Roku as like, you should watch Bohemian Rhapsody. And I was like, all right, I haven't watched that in a minute. And I it's, for like a biopic about a band, it's not that bad. I
No,
don't
I
think it's
enjoyed
like the
it.
best movie ever made or anything like that, but it's fine. I like his performance in it. I think he's a very good
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury, and
Yeah.
he definitely makes you kind of want to watch the rest of the movie just because of his performance in it. So, thought he was really good. Number 1 movie in the country is a not really a remake, but I guess kind of like a spiritual sequel, The Grinch, the animated one.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Isn't it a remake? I thought it was a remake.
So I think
I haven't
it's kind
watched
of
it.
like, well, it's kind of like taking the all of the the lore surrounding both the Jim Carrey one and the animated one and the other animated one and kind of combining them and making them into something new because it's got like singing and dancing and it's got like a punk, like there's like soundtrack that's like modern music. It's kind of like Hotel Transylvania Grinch. That's kind of how I would describe it.
What
Kind of
other
like that,
animated
kind of like
one?
that theme. There's an
What
older animated Grinch that is kind of more of like classically animated.
Well, there's the original with Boris Karloff,
Yeah.
and then
There's
there's
another
live
one.
action with
There's the
Jim
live
Carrey.
action Jim Carrey. Yeah. There's another animated one as well that I think is like just almost like still frames, and then it just like reads the book, and then it like continues on with the next still frame. But it's like
Oh,
animation style in that like it's like someone drew the still frame or is drawing the still frames, but then it's just like narration of like stuff like that. So yeah, it takes part of that kind of as well because there's some like
okay.
still frame stuff that it does where like there's a narration thing going on.
Mhm.
Anyway, it's an okay little kids movie. I watched it one Christmas with my wife when we were sitting around looking for Christmas movies to watch. Neither
Uh-huh.
one of us liked it as much as the other Grinches that we the ones
The
that we
the
grew
Jim
up
Carrey
with.
one, the Jim Carrey one is an abomination, and somebody needs a kick in the balls.
I like that movie.
Ron Howard, and Jim Carrey. Well, it completely misses the point
Well, yeah.
of of the story and is uncalled for, and it's a bad movie. I fucking hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Oh, I actually kind of like
But
it a lot.
that's we could do but we could do a whole
You
episode
do.
on that.
Just the Grinch.
It's the point of the movie. It's the complete opposite of what the story's about.
Yeah. Oh, there's my
Yeah.
Alexa telling me to eat dinner. This is back when I used to work nights.
Fuck Jim Carrey.
So yeah, I don't like Jim Carrey necessarily as a person. Sometimes he's kind of a creepy weirdo. His stuff with Emma Stone was really odd and disturbing. But and other things he's done as well. But I remember liking The Grinch. It's been a while since I've watched it. But I remember enjoying it back in the day. But yes, we could fall down a rabbit hole and just talk about The Grinch forever and ever and ever. Instead, we'll talk about something that I think is worse.
Oof.
Post Apocalyptic Commando Shark.
Um, ugh, sorry, I gotta turn my phone sound down.
You're all right.
Fucking notifications. Before that though, I just when you mentioned Playmate of the Apes,
Yes,
I was gonna ask, is that a Misty Monday movie? And it is.
it is. Yes, yes.
So,
Misty Mundane is in that. Yes, she is indeed. Yeah, she was in a lot of those back in the late '90s, early 2000s.
Lord of the G Strings, Spider
Mhm.
Babe, that kind of
Spider
shit.
Babe.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. She was also in like a weird Columbine movie, which was not like a softcore porn at all. Thank God they
Hmm.
didn't do a softcore porn of Columbine. That would have
No.
been a bridge too far. But yeah, she shows up in like a weird horror Columbine kind of shot on video movie that came out in the late '90s, early 2000s. I forget the name
Duck
of it.
it's
Duck.
called Duck
Yes.
exclamation point, the Carbine High Massacre.
Yes,
I'd
yes.
never heard of that before.
That's a movie that if you made that today, you would get your ass fucking hard sued. It's like South Park generation, like let's be edgy to be edgy, but miss the point of what South Park was doing with their edginess, and because they're actually clever and know how to be decent writers, and the audience that they made was maybe less edgy and more, well, maybe less clever and more just like let's be offensive. And I think it's kind of in that vein. Yeah, I watched it once and was like, well, that's a kind of insulting to a lot of people that died. Oh gosh. So speaking of a lot of people dying, this movie has a lot of people dying. So the very, very first thing I wrote down when I took my notes on this movie was, first off, Dominic, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I did not expect this to be quite this bad. I thought it would be like a silly little B movie, like, hey, it's not great, it's not bad. Maybe it's so bad it's good. Nope. Nope. No. It's just really, really bad. Oh.
This is a home movie
Hmm.
featuring the finest actors that local community theater can provide, or your friends and
I was gonna
neighbors,
say, I think it's your friends and
family members.
neighbors. Yeah. Oh man, me and Travis recently, I made him watch Cool Cat's Crazy Dream, which is this insane guy who's basically bought a cool cat outfit on Amazon and is then goes around town and just makes movies and puts them on YouTube. There's a lot of that kind of in this as well, but at least this has a little bit of planning, and that you can tell there's maybe at some point there was a script that we threw away, but somebody wrote something down to make this, which is
Yeah,
more than Cool Cat had. Um, so we get a little zany 50s inspired intro that kind of tells us how we got here, and it does it in
right.
like a very ham-fisted kind of silly way, which kind of
Yeah.
goes for the entire movie. We see two scientists who I guess are in their dad's garage, and
Hmm.
a minute and 55 seconds in, I paused it, and that's when I said, this is bad. This is really
Yeah.
bad. It's a minute and 55 seconds in, and it's immediately like, oh, this is not good. This is really bad movie.
Yeah.
It immediately is because you see the shark at a minute and
Yes.
55 seconds in, and as soon as you see the shark, you're like, oh, it's that kind of a movie.
Yeah. The shark is the worst part about the movie, and it should be the best part.
Yes.
If you
If
can't if you can't get a decent shark head mask. So
Don't make a shark movie.
the post-apocalyptic commando shark is a human shark hybrid.
Yes.
It's a man in a shark mask. One shark mask, because there's actually a whole
There's an army of, but yeah, there's like
there's
an
an
army of
army,
them, but we
except
never
they're
see
not all
more than
fighting
one at a
together.
time.
Right. Right. And there are two other sort of half masks.
Yeah.
There's a goggles with their face wrapped in a scarf and a fin on the top.
Yeah.
And then there's another fin whose head is covered in some other way. I can't remember. But
Yes.
there's only one full shark head, and it's terrible. It looks
It looks
like
awful.
It looks like paper mache. I don't
I
think it is.
believe
I
it
think it's
is.
rubber. It might have been. They might have made a paper mache head and then put latex over it,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
and that's why
That
it
would make
looks
some
like paper
sense.
mache. But
It's
it
really
doesn't.
bad.
Yeah, but it does have a rubbery look to it as well. So I think that's
Yeah.
what they did.
It
And
is.
it
This
looks
is
like
low
shit.
budget filmmaking. Yeah, it looks really, really bad. If it
Right.
looked decent, then the rest of the movie is probably kind of silly and dumb. But every time
There
you see it, and they focus on it a lot, you can't
uh,
help but just be like reminded of how shitty everything is.
yeah, a few of the some of the jokes, because it's all very jokey. It
Oh yeah,
reminded me of very much of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
yeah, yeah,
Um, some of the jokes are actually kind of funny.
yeah.
Some of them would be funnier if they cut them off sooner.
Yes.
You need an editor.
Yeah.
Uh, there was uh,
This movie
like
definitely needed an editor.
at the end, like somebody says something, and the guy says, "You can say that again," and so the guy says it again,
Yep.
and then he says, "Well, I didn't mean for you to actually say it again." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no! Don't do that. Just do the joke and move on. Don't talk about the joke.
Yeah.
You've fucked it up." So it's a lot of that.
Yeah, you can
But
tell
yeah,
whoever the guy that wrote this watched Family Guy a lot, and that's
uh-huh,
his basis of humor is
sure,
that kind of like Family Guy style of humor that like we're gonna break the fourth wall and point out how bad and silly and stupid the writing is. But that only works if the writing is intentionally bad and stupid and silly. But then at the same time, you can kind of overcome that by doing that kind of a joke. It doesn't
yeah,
work just to call out how bad the writing is when the writing is just bad, because then everyone's
yeah,
just going to agree with you and be like, this is really bad. You should
yeah.
stop. Why are we
Well,
doing
and
this?
the other part of the sharks. So, like I said, some of the jokes are kind of funny, but none of the shark's jokes are funny.
Oh
The
no, the
shark
shark is
makes a
terrible.
the shark makes a lot of puns,
He does.
a lot of fin puns, a lot of biting puns, and that kind of and chum. They
Chum.
make a chum joke more than once.
Yeah.
Don't make a chum joke once. Uh, so but the shark's lines are the least funny. Just don't have him do that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
there is a Wilhelm scream at one point, so I appreciated that.
Check
One
mark.
point for a Wilhelm scream.
Hmm.
Uh,
The battle scenes are some of the worst things in the entire
uh
movie.
yes,
They
they're
are. The
always
guy
like
does not
10
know how to
people
shoot
total.
action.
No, there's 10 people total.
Yeah.
Nobody, all the so-called uniforms are just who's got some camouflage. I don't
Yeah.
know if he even bothered going to
A
the
Goodwill.
army surplus store.
Getting the army surplus. Yeah. Maybe there's not one in his town.
Yeah, I think it was just who's got some camouflage. I noticed at one point they like that scene you were talking about with the sergeant,
Hmm.
where she's talking to a corporal, and I actually paused it. I'm like, is he a corporal? I looked at the because I was just assuming that he was not wearing corporal stripes, and
Nope.
I could not identify the stripes that he was wearing.
Well,
There
it's the end of the
were too
world.
many.
They're making do.
There were too many to be a corporal or a sergeant, I think, and they were upside down. And I'm like, well, maybe I just Google's not, I didn't take a screenshot to Google Lens it, but I was like, of course he's not wearing a corporal
No,
patch.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
He
the
can't film. He can't film action scenes, which is fine. Like, so this movie, the only thing that I kind of enjoyed about it is as a person who also used to try to make low budget movies. Like when I was 15, I've told this story before on the podcast, but when I was 15 years old, I asked my mom and dad for a camera because I wanted to like make movies, and they eventually got me one. And so me and Jamie and a bunch of friends and people like that, we used to make like little homemade movies. Like really, like I would write scripts. We did a zombie one. There was one about like the mummy in Egypt and things like that. And so we kind of learned in the process of making those like how to do certain things. It was like a inadvertent film school. So like
Mhm,
whenever we needed to make like we wanted to have a shot where Jamie crushes a zombie's head using a stick. We wanted blood, but we couldn't pull that off. So instead we got a watermelon, we filmed it from behind at a high angle with him hitting the downward and then, showed the stick hit going downward with like a motion. And then behind it, you saw like a bunch of red because we were filming in black and white, so we could hide the fact that it
Okay.
wasn't looking like blood. And a bunch of water and shit shot out from the watermelon and a water balloon, and it looked kind of effective. I thought that was me being trying to like learn how to do stuff. You don't see any of that in this. There's none of that. It's just like fuck it, we'll just do whatever. Like who gives a shit? And so that
Somebody
part of
did
this,
have a someone
but
did have a computer program for
hmm
to add some gun flash and
yes,
a little bit of computer blood.
they did have that, which I didn't have that, but I also wasn't making movies in 2018. This was
Yeah.
in 2003, so it was a little bit a different thing there. But yeah, some of that I liked about this, but there's also some parts of that where I just see like the being really really lazy, and it's just like there's very little reason to be that lazy in 2018. It seems like you could very easily have done a little bit more, but maybe that's not what they were going for. I don't know. But yeah, the things that I can call out that are I'm just like these are just unnecessary is all of the introductions. Every time we meet someone new, we get either like a typed introduction
Yeah.
or a narrated introduction. And then within seconds of those introductions, those characters are killed.
Yes. Yeah.
So
We don't
why
need to
did we
know
need
that.
why do we need to know all of these?
Well, most of the introductions are kind of jokey, and I think that's
Yes.
why they're there just to make a little joke.
Exactly, which kind of goes back to what you were saying about needing an editor because this person has a lot of ideas and some of
Yeah.
them are good, not all of them are. But
No.
whoever he needed someone else to be like looking at these and be like, all right, we don't need this part. We don't need the
Yeah.
part where we have a scene where a bunch of friends are inexplicably in a backyard barbecue saying some racist, zingoistic, sexist bullshit to each other for no fucking reason, only so they can
Yes.
get killed by a shark,
My
and that's
note on
it.
that, you're talking about the first, because there's two backyard barbecues, one at night
Yes,
and one during the day. The
the
first
night
one I
one,
wrote,
yeah.
Dwayne is very proud of the fact that he can spell bitch.
He is, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so we keep meeting this movie has a shitload of characters for
Yeah,
no real reason. There's the Russian scientist who's not really Russian, he's German. He's
German. Yeah,
and that is the
that's the
director. That's
director.
him playing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's him. He is very much calling. He's obviously watched a lot of 50s, 60s B movies, Plan 9, from Outer Space. Like he's got some influence he's pulling from, but his performance is just kind of one note, which is just maniacal screaming after everything
Yeah.
he says. Just
Yeah.
whoa, just that a lot. And a lot of like there's a lot of allusions to Frankenstein because the American
Yes.
doctor is an idiot and every time he shows up on screen, I wanted him to die. He has inexplicably, I keep saying that word because that's the only word I can come to. This movie has rendered me ability to use other synonyms. The dog, he makes his dog talk for
Yes.
reasons.
Right. Yeah, he's doing dog experiments
Yeah,
to somehow deal with the shark experiments. To counteract
yes,
the shark experiments, he's doing dog experiments.
as you do. The Russians can make sharks that are walking, talking, killing machines that can eat you and shoot you with submachine guns and speak in Russian, well, bad Russian accents,
Yeah.
like really bad Russian accents, kind of offensively bad Russian
Yeah.
accents. Like, it's playing off of a lot of Cold War stereotypes in
Yes.
2018. So that's
Why
nice.
that I found that very odd, but maybe it was because he was going for a 50s thing,
Yeah, we
but
don't
maybe he should have made it in black and white then if he was
that would have
gonna
been a
do
little
it.
bit better. Excuse me, that would have been a little bit better. Yeah. Put it in black and white. Do something like, I don't know. There's a lot of just silly shit in this movie. The dog talks the entire
Yep.
movie. He
Mhm.
becomes Chekhov's dog at the end for some reason. I don't know why he needed to be shoehorned into the end of the movie, but he keeps coming back. I'm guessing he's the director's dog or like a friend's dog.
Right.
And they were like, well, we have this dog. I can't not be in the same room as the dog. You can't not be in the same room as this dog, I guess. So like we have to watch him the whole time. So let's just put the dog in the movie. It's I don't know. Maybe they read Robert Rodriguez's book on filmmaking, which is just use the things you have around you. And they were like,
Uh-huh.
"Well, we have a dog, so we'll use the dog.
Right.
Like, we have this shitty shark outfit, so we'll make a movie about a shitty shark." I'm like, oh God. Yeah, at some point there's a bunch of random things that just happen in this movie. The president gets killed by a shark for reasons, and that shows up for a second. That happens.
Every time, every time the shark comes in,
Mhm.
and technically it's not always the same shark, but he always has the same accent,
Yes.
same voice, same
Yeah.
guy doing the voiceover.
Yeah,
Probably same guy in the costume, but we
I would
wouldn't
imagine.
actually know if it weren't.
Yeah. We never see more than
Uh,
one shark together at a time.
they always announce the shark and whoever's with them. They always announce their presence first,
They do. They do.
and then shoot people up. Uh, there's the whole thing is kind of there's a whole bunch of very loosely connected scenes, which is why we're
Yes.
always bringing in new people.
Yeah.
We do have a sort of a hero who's kind of our through line, as
Marty.
well as the scientists. Yeah, the
Yeah, we get
director's brother.
Marty, the director's brother, who looks nothing fucking like the director, I will
Well,
say.
I mean, the director's wearing a mask the whole time,
True.
pre-COVID, because he's a
Pre-COVID.
doctor.
Yeah. It isn't. I
But
had
a
to look
doctor
that
who's
up. It
not
just came out
operating
after
on
COVID.
any. Yeah, he's a doctor who's not operating on anybody.
No, never once.
But he's always wearing a surgical mask, but a black surgical mask because he's evil.
So you know he's real.
And yeah, at first I was like, is he the only one who's concerned about COVID? Or is he the only one that has COVID and doesn't want to? But no, it was 2018.
Yeah,
So
before COVID.
he was just doing a doctor thing. It was just a bit.
Hey, that came in handy a couple years later, I bet.
Yeah, yes. I do have a mask. Hold on, I'll go get it.
It's my prop department.
In the the beginning when nobody had any.
Yeah.
It's Jesus.
Yeah, so like
I
you were
think
saying,
a lot of the reason there's this narrator is because we don't have a proper script where things go from A to B to C. There's just A, W, J, and we'll stitch it all together later.
Basically, this movie you
But
could subtitle "Fuck it, we'll fix it in post."
yeah,
because a lot of that is like it doesn't matter. Like it
we have this.
just we'll fix it. It's okay.
The opening fight where the narrator tells us all about this general or whoever the fuck he is who instantly gets killed.
He instantly dies. Yeah, I believe that's the director's dad.
Okay.
Yeah,
we should have started with Marty.
We should have.
And started with. They should have taken a more zombie approach to this. Where you usually start with one person who has to deal with the zombie outbreak, and we follow that person or a group of people.
Yeah.
But we should have started with him, like hearing the attack or seeing the attack. Well, I don't know. It's not my job to rewrite this movie and try to make it good. But they just made some basic mistakes.
Turn it into a stage play.
Yeah, there we go.
Turn it into a musical.
I have access to a stage.
That should be your next production. Post Apocalyptic Commando Shark, the musical.
The musical. Jesus. Now I want to say a few things. I guess kind of things I liked.
Yeah.
Or found interesting. Meatball, who early on gets a gut wound where his intestines are falling out.
Yeah.
Doesn't die. Keeps showing up with his intestines still falling out. So he duct tapes him up.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of funny.
That was
but
funny.
At one
that
point,
was the funny part.
But he tells us when he shows up again that the Russians did a Samson and Delilah on me where they shaved my head. And I was like, did he just get a haircut? I mean, how long did it take him to make this movie? I think he just got a haircut between scenes.
Probably.
And so they felt they had to address it. They could have just put a hat on him. But but then I looked and I'm like, well, it does kind of look like somebody just shaved him without caring if it looked good or not. So I'm not sure that is what happened. Maybe they did just say, let's shave his head. I don't know. It looked kind of patchy.
It did.
His bald head looked kind of patchy. But maybe I don't know, maybe he's ill. Maybe.
Yeah. Speaking of things that we liked, the thing I really liked is that the movie does try to address the plot hole, which is like how there's only one shark at a time, and yet we've been told that there's like a network of sharks, and they bring up that it's like the Borg.
Yes,
which I thought was funny. That like, okay, so y'all y'all have seen Star Trek, and that's where it's like,
Yes.
okay, so you're trying to connect the dots here. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, that was at least an effort to be. Someone pointed out, like, hey, this movie doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like, whatever it is we're
But
working here, it doesn't make
so
any sense though.
rather than having whole battalions of sharks,
Because why would you?
they've assigned a commando shark to each little squad.
Yes, they're responsible sharks.
Yeah. So I don't know why they thought that was well, I mean, we know why. It's because they only have one shark mask, but
Yeah, yeah, you got to make it work what you can. I don't know. So, like, if I was redoing this movie and I had access to one shark mask, I would instead make it like a post-apocalyptic shark, where like there's this one giant, massive shark that's just attacking a city, like Godzilla,
yeah,
basically,
yeah,
and
yeah.
just do something like that, you know.
Which we do
Uh,
get at the end for
at
some
the end,
reason.
yes, yeah, because I think maybe they figured it out.
Hold on, my dad's calling.
Gotcha. Thank y'all so much for listening. It's been a pleasure coming to y'all every single week talking about end of the world movies. We are nearing into 50 episodes, which is crazy. Doing this for a little while now. And this month we are moving away from the bad movies we've been talking about last month and instead talking about some elephants in the room. Some big heavy hitters that we haven't discussed thus far. So come back every single week this month and we'll be talking about things such as Independence Day, A Boy and His Dog, and Post Apocalyptic Commando Shark as well, from somewhere thrown in there. Not really a heavy hitter or a elephant, more of a jackass in the room, honestly. But you know, it is what it is. So thank you guys for listening, and every single week we'll keep on coming back, and y'all come on back too. Keep on trucking. I don't have an ending. Sorry. All right, so I don't know where we were talking about exactly anymore. This movie is lost me in terms of what exactly happens. Like you said, there's an overarching narration that ties in these little kind of like vignettes of people doing things. So it goes from like a backyard barbecue where they're talking about sharks and rather being kind of sexist to each other and homophobic and a bunch of other things. And then it jumps to another scene where more things are happening. We jump back and forth, and basically there's like this resistance force that emerges between all these different like little independent soldiers and what's left, I guess, of the US government after the president was killed by a shark. And then we sometimes also go over to Russia to see the Russian
Yeah.
side, because the Russian leader also is going to at some point get turned into a shark.
Right.
And that you would think is going to become a big point of the movie, but there's only like 15 minutes left in the movie when I think all that happens. So
yeah.
it doesn't actually end up being as important as you would think it is.
The Russian guy who seems to just be a general and not the
Mhm.
president, but
Yeah.
the guy in charge, is very upset to find out that the commando sharks are killing innocent civilians.
Yes, he wanted to
Because when
drop
I drop,
nukes, not
yes,
kill
but only on the
innocents.
bad guys.
Only on the bad guys. Yeah.
We follow the rules of war here. We only target military objectives with our nuclear weapons, because people try to point out to him, did you really not want to kill civilians when you dropped all those nukes? And he's like, of course not. So he's regretting this Commando Shark program that they've initiated. Also wanted to point out the American doctor. I forget his name. It was something ridiculously American.
Yeah. The one with the dog.
When he's meeting with the lady from the government,
Mm-hmm.
who I think also had a couple of credits.
Yeah, I believe she did as well.
It seems to be petting a tribble.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that was about.
That was pretty awkward.
I have a tribble, so
yeah.
I'm going to use it. Oh, he was Dermot Jackson Washington.
Yeah, that makes
presumably
a lot of sense.
Dr. Dermot Jackson Washington.
Maybe not. I don't need to see his credentials. I'll take his word for it.
Also, one part I did kind of find funny at the daytime backyard barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
The blonde girl with the nose piercings.
Oh yeah.
Takes a drink while she's dying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I kind of like.
I didn't notice
She
that.
gets bit. She gets bit by a shark, and is like, ah, and takes another sip as she's falling down. So she's
She didn't want to
committed
spill her beer.
to that beer.
She didn't want to spill that beer. She was like, if I fall down, I'm going to spill my beer. I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
He's not going to buy me another one.
So
Yeah, I don't know if any of these people got paid for this. I think some of them were just like, "Hey, when you pretend to die?" And like, "Yeah, we'll film that. We'll use that. That's fine."
there was another guy in that scene who was he was obviously told to be drunk.
Hmm.
So he is just sort of stumbling around in circles
Yeah, that's what you do when you're
with a
drunk.
beer in his hand. And I'm like, "Ugh, no, this is bad directing. The guy's not an
It's
actor. He
very
doesn't know.
yeah.
But just
Tell him what to do.
tell him he should be trying to do something and then
Yeah.
having trouble doing it because he's drunk, not
Hmm.
just stumbling around in a circle because he's drunk.
Yeah, my favorite part of this movie, and I use that in air quotes, favorite part was the American Legion Hall scene where they show up and we get introduced to all of these quote unquote leaders of the resistance
Mhm.
force, and they're giving
Yeah.
Marty shit. And
Yeah.
then they kick Marty out, and then immediately the Russian shark shows up, and they have like a whole little back and forth where they talk, and then they just kill them all. And I left thinking like, what? I wonder how much that American Legion Hall cost to rent that day for that scene, because it's like the only scene that you can tell is not taking place in someone's house, their
Yeah.
garage, their backyard, or a public park.
The
Like
American
that's
Legion
pretty
Hall
much it.
that says top secret HQ
Yes,
on a
top
piece of
secret
paper.
HQ. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I would guess that maybe one of those people was a member and
Yeah,
just
just got it.
got
Access for
permission.
free. Yeah, damn,
Yeah.
that's what I need to do. I need access to an American Legion Hall for these kind of things. Go film my art
Uh,
movies.
tw- towards the end, the Russians implement a gargantua shark,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. That
wrote
do
that
that.
it looked better than the commando shark.
It
It's
does.
just a rubber shark. It's just a
Yeah,
toy rubber shark that they've, doing some
filmed.
blue screen or whatever to
Hmm.
look big.
Yeah.
But it's got more movement and looks more like a shark than
Then the
the
actual the shark they
the
do.
star
Yeah.
of our movie.
And in response to that, the American doctor decides to make a shark repellent, and I wrote down Batman 66. This is not, and I
Yeah,
really wish it
yeah,
was because that
yeah,
movie is far better than this in every single way.
yeah.
And we don't get any
And
some days you just can't get rid of a shark jokes at all.
right,
Like
yeah.
no one ever mentions like I was very, I feel like
I
it
also
was
wrote
hanging for you there.
I wrote there's no point in wearing camouflage if you're going to wear and attach flag stuff
Yeah,
to
they
your
do that.
weapons and your head.
Yeah, there's American flags attached to everything.
One our hero and I think at least one other person is wearing an American flag headscarf. So you
Yes.
put a target on your head rather than trying to hide your head or put I don't know, a helmet on. I think they had
Hmm.
one helmet. They had one helmet in this
Well, I
movie.
think so. I think the flags were maybe to help you figure out who was the Americans and who were supposed to be the non-Americans because you can't tell. Like
Well, no,
there's
the
just a bunch of
Russians
white
were all
people.
wearing the Russians were all wearing wool coats,
Oh, that's
and
right.
they
Yes, yes, you're
did
right.
have
That would have been distinct enough.
at one point there's a whole bunch of them that we had not seen previously
Hmm.
who do look like they're wearing matching hats. Like they
Yeah,
picked up a bunch of cheap winter hats that were all identical. And I was like, "Oh, good job with the matching hats."
they tried that one. Yeah,
But yeah, he's not only
yeah,
got a headscarf on, at one point he's painted it for the final battle, he's painted his face like he's fucking Braveheart.
they
But he
do
has
that.
two different flag situations on his gun
Hmm.
because it
Like, yeah,
changes from one shot to the other.
yeah,
Instead of a
consistency. You
strap
don't
on
need
his
it.
gun, he has a flag strapped to it.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
we're
there's
getting to the
another guy that
final. Oh, go
has
ahead.
two flags
Uh huh.
stuck in his backpack or whatever, sticking out like he's some kind of Japanese warlord or a Roman or something. Like
He's a Ronin,
yeah.
post-apocalyptic Ronin warrior.
So, and I'm like, you're really, yeah, and you're wearing camouflage, so you're really drawing attention to yourself, so that everyone will shoot at you. That's a mistake. Uh,
Yeah, and I wrote down where is this movie building to? Because eventually it just kind of gets to like something approaching an end, and the end takes place in a public park, and
Mhm.
it has another god awful battle scene where the two sides just slowly run at each other, trying really hard not to make sure no one falls down and gets hurt. We don't want anyone to go to the hospital. We can't afford that.
Sure.
No one can get hurt here. And yeah, the fight scene is just terrible. It's awful. And this leads to the kaiju showing up, like you mentioned at the beginning here. This is where we get
Yeah.
the mega shark versus I guess Mega Saint Bernard.
It's Gargantua Shark, which they
Gargantua shark.
remind it. If anybody says just giant shark or whatever, they're like, no, it's Gargantua Shark,
Legally
legally
distinct.
distinct from the Asylum's Mega Shark.
Yeah, we're not going for Asylum quality. We're better than that.
Oof. And yeah, and we find out that Dr. Washington has had a shrink ray this whole time that he keeps in his car.
Just never brought it up.
Maybe that might have been of some use during the war.
It might have, shrink the commando sharks down to like miniature size and step on them.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have been helpful. But
Yeah.
no,
So no, but he does use it on the Gargantua Shark.
he does.
And then the dog shows up. So there was a bit where he had some kind of growth hormone and it spilled it on the floor.
And the
And
dog
his
licked it up.
dog licked it up. So now the dog is giant
Yes.
and steps on Meatball. No, not Meatball.
He's finally
Meatball
dead.
shows up late. Meatball's like, did I miss the climax? And then this dog steps on him. And
Yep.
so they shrink the dog. Then there's a little bit of wrap up with the government lady thanking the scientist.
Yes.
He's weird. It seems like they're trying to tell us that he's attracted to her, but he also acts like an asshole to her. But I mean, he's an awkward scientist, so he doesn't know how to talk
It
to
reminded me of
women.
I was gonna say it reminded me of a lot of like the dialogue you get in like Troma, some of the really bad Troma movies that Lloyd Kaufman produced but didn't have anything to do with directing, where they kind of follow a lot of his formula but don't do it nearly as well because they can't write as well as he can. And yeah, so they get a lot of just like stilted, awkward dialogue between people that goes nowhere. And yeah, finally the movie just kind of ends and we get Finn. You get it?
Yeah,
It's a joke. Finn.
they did the same thing in the Sharknado, I think.
Oh, well, don't tell them. They're shooting for above the Asylum quality, This
Yeah.
movie made me wish that I could watch an Asylum movie. It was really
Uh,
really poor. The credits are the best part because we just get kind of like a scan and pan of the artwork from
Yeah.
the trailer. And then at the
Mhm.
very end, did you stick around to the end of the trailer? I mean, the end of the
There's a
credits?
there's a
Yeah.
mid-credit scene. I didn't stick around to the end credits.
So
Is
yeah,
there
the
a
mid
second
no,
scene?
no, I was talking about the mid
No,
credits.
okay.
Yeah, there's the
Yeah,
mid
with the
credits
eggs.
scene. Yeah, that kind of alludes to there being a movie about killer eggs, and they're just painted eggs from an egg carton. I don't think they can afford to do that movie right now. So hopefully they got that one already filmed and out of the bud,
Yeah.
because right now that movie's going to cost you a fortune.
Which is also that's how Attack of the Killer Tomatoes ends. It ends with now the
Yes.
carrots are gonna rise
Yeah,
up.
the carrots are going to rise up, which I don't think they ever made that a killer carrot movie.
No, but they do
Which-
the same joke again at the end of the second movie,
Mhm,
Return
yeah.
of the Killer Tomatoes.
They need to just
Some-
make a killer
some
carrot movie.
Commando. Some human-sized carrot commandos come in at the end of Return of the
That's
Killer
right.
Tomatoes.
You're right. You're right. You're right. I forgot about that. Yes, that is true. So yeah, this movie is I can't think of a movie I have seen recently worse than this movie, and I just watched all 5 of the Left Behind movies. So that's been my month. So it went Kirk Cameron, Kirk Cameron, Kirk Cameron, Kirk Cameron, and then Kevin Sorbo, and then this. And so
That's
whew.
oof. It's hard to say because the thing is, I have been for our podcast, Monster Movie Fun Time Go. Find us at mmftg.com. We've been watching a lot of Asylum shit lately,
Mhm.
and a lot of it has clearly a bigger budget than this,
Yes.
but is just as bad. It's a lot of the Asylum movies are boring
Mhm.
and not at all funny. No funny parts at all.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think in a way they are worse because with the resources they have, they should be better.
It should be.
They don't necessarily make any more sense than this one did.
Oh God, that's
They're just trying
Ugh.
to play it a little more straight
Yeah.
and try and sort of trying to make a serious movie and therefore
Mhm.
having no humor whatsoever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're just as bad in a different way.
That's true. I was gonna say I'll take that back, that statement that I made. Honestly, because the Asylum movies are also like they're intentionally shooting for trying to deceive in the marketplace. So oftentimes, at least, whereas this movie is trying to do no deception. It's a movie that was very low budget. Like I said, I could not find out how much this movie cost. I'm gonna bet dollars to donuts that the cast didn't get paid. His family probably worked for free. His brothers are probably hanging out and doing all this for free. I know he wrote it, directed it. I don't know who edited it. I'm assuming it was probably him or someone he knows, kind of getting behind the scenes and editing and doing all that. So in that way, it's kind of cool to see that it's one person doing a lot of stuff. There's just a lot of like really unnecessary shit in the movie that kind of drags it down and takes away some of the good parts. Like some of the jokes, like you said, are good. Um, there is a little bit of clever things here and there scattered throughout, and there's a lot of ideas, but no one to focus those ideas toward actually like telling a story instead of just a bunch of like random things happening, and let's just throw a shark in there to kill everyone when we're done with whatever it is we were doing in this scene, because that's pretty much the movie. Shit happens,
Yeah.
a shark shows up, kills them, and then we go to the next scene where more people show up, do something, and then get killed by a shark. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, folks, if you're thinking of making a movie like this, you need to find a friend like me who is willing to read your script and tell you how much everything sucks, who is willing to hurt your feelings and brutally tell you lose this, move this here,
Yeah.
or or rewrite it. Tell you, okay, this idea is good, but you need to do this thing first, or whatever.
Hmm.
Get an editor or at least a critical friend. Join a writing group or something
Yeah.
so that you don't film your first draft.
Yes, yeah, that's wasting a lot of people's time, especially if you get all these
Yeah.
people involved. This movie does have a lot of people in it. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of fucking people that showed up and did this. So he's got a lot of friends that are willing
Yeah.
to help him out. So maybe next time, or maybe next time we revisit
Now,
his work, we can see that
on
it's
the other
improved a little.
right. On the other hand, this movie is streaming on Fossum, Plex, Roku, Tubi, and Prime Video,
Hmm.
and with commercials. So I don't know if I don't know what kind of deal he signed, and if he's actually making any residuals or cut of those commercials.
Hmm. Yeah.
I have a I have a friend who made a movie who it was on one of those things, and he was like, I didn't get anything
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say from
from
what I've
that.
heard, I don't think you can make a whole lot from those services. I think it's more of just
It's
like
probably
get your
like
name out there.
similar to being on Spotify. You get
Yeah, yeah,
pennies for every
yeah.
100 or 1,000, or this podcast. I just get a few
Hmm.
for my
Basically.
podcast. Get a few cents for every 100
Yeah.
listens.
There you go. There's your nickels and dimes of everyone's ad revenue broken down into who gets all everything.
Yeah,
Somehow that makes sense. Well, thank you guys for listening tonight as we talked about Post Apocalyptic Commando Shark from 2018. I'm going to let Dom plug his stuff one last time, and then I'll talk about what we're going to talk about next week.
yeah. It's Monster Movie Fun Time Go at mmftg.com. And if you're in the Dallas Fort Worth area in August, you can come out to Kaiju Go and see us there. It's a uh, Japanese movie, toy, and art expo. It's a one-day
Nice.
thing. They're going to be showing
Cool.
3 movies. Going to have vendors. It's at the historic Texas Theater. You can
Hell
find
yeah.
out all about that at kaijugo.com. We are sponsors of that thing. It's a lot of fun. This is their 3rd year doing it, and we will be there, Honeybee and I, not Matt. Maybe Matt will
No,
come.
no, no, no. No, I'm not. I'm
You're too
sticking
far
here
away
in.
now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't been to Texas in 10 years, and nothing that's happened in there makes me want to go back right now. I'm good. I don't need measles right now.
There, yes, there is that.
But you guys have fun in Dallas. Dallas is a lovely area, and those festivals are a lot of fun to go to. There's actually been some here in the Memphis area that I'm looking to go into at some point when I got a little bit of extra spending cash on me right now. Right now, Just bought a house a couple months ago, so spending a bunch of money on that, and don't really have time for much else. So doing a bunch of that. Speaking of doing a bunch of that, thank you guys for listening once again. We will be showing back up next week to talk about Independence Day. Welcome to ARF. Will Smith is going to be joining.
He does not mispronounce Earth. I'm just going to
He
go
does
on record
not.
right now. He just has
He
a
does
cigar
not.
in his mouth.
Well,
So,
smoke a fat one whenever you get with the mission done. Yeah, we're gonna talk about some some elephants in the room. I almost said white elephants. So we just got through March. We looked at all of the goddamn Left Behind movies, and that was an exhausting process and killed us. And I'm never going to watch a Left Behind movie ever again, and I may never watch a Kevin Sorbo movie ever again.
yeah, no,
Thankfully,
fuck
he's
Sorbo.
not in a whole lot of movies I want to watch anymore. So his Hercules days are kind of done. So this
Fuck
next
him.
upcoming month is the April. We're going to look at some big time, some big post-apocalyptic movies that we have yet to talk about. So Independence Day, A Boy and His Dog, some big ones like that are going to come up this month. So keep coming back. Every week we show up and talk about a end of the world movie, and it's been a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Devil. It's a damn shark commando.
No!
I'm not gonna make it. Save yourself.
Fall back, I'll cover you! Not without Cliff!
Победа! Чего ты кричишь?